Hello and welcome to my YouTube dev's journey, and today is a big day. Today marks the 1 year mark that I have started studying Spanish. And in this video, I will give you everything you need to know to go from no knowledge of Spanish to a level where native people are saying that, wow, you speak very good Spanish. And also, at this level I am now, I am not using a translator that much when I'm speaking, and I am just using what I've learned over the year to being able to communicate. What I learned about Spanish is that it's very similar to English. I took Spanish in high school. My high school teachers told me the same thing. They're like, yeah, Spanish is very similar to English. And I'm like, it is. So honestly, we use a lot of English words that are Spanish words. And that really surprised me because I never knew that. So, and that's why people say, like, if you speak English, if you're a native English speaker, you should learn Spanish because Spanish is a very similar language. And I started realizing that in a year that I've been learning Spanish. Um so and there are about hundreds of words that we use every day that a native Spanish speaker uses as well. Like, it is pretty, it's pretty crazy how similar both of the language really are. One of the most important steps to being able to learn Spanish, and honestly really anything, is your mind. Okay, first of all, be able to learn Spanish takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication. Okay, you can't reach fluency in a week. You just can't do it. It's too much. Um, the time limit to reach fluency is very subjective. I've seen YouTube videos where a guy learned Spanish in 44 days. I've seen another YouTube video about how a dude learned Spanish in 2.5 years. So it really varies on you, but you cannot learn the language in a week. So with that being said, you have to commit time to be able to learn Spanish. And you can't make excuses saying that I can't study right now because I'm too busy, because honestly, there's really no such thing as being too busy. Because if you won a lottery, if you had a ticket, you wouldn't say I'm too busy to cash in my lottery ticket, you know? So you have to prioritize studying Spanish like that lottery ticket. You have to make time to study Spanish. A time is 30 minutes a day even. Listening to Spanish music, watching YouTube videos about Spanish. So you can do it. You can really do it. So before I go into the steps and the tools that I've used over the year, I really want to tell you that, because it's very, very important. Also, another thing is I'm still not fluent. Okay, um, I'm close. I'm not close, but I'm at a level where I can communicate efficiently. I'm intermediate right now, but I'm not advanced. So I also want to say that fluency is my goal. You know, it will forever be my goal. I want to be able to listen to when someone is communicating to me and be able to talk how I talk in English. And that is my opinion on what fluency is. Being fluent is to be able to understand about 95% of what the person is saying to you, and you to respond in a quickly and quickly and efficiently. And so that's my that's my opinion on what fluency is. A lot of people have different opinions on fluency. They think that fluency is knowing every word. Like, you're not gonna know every word in Spanish. Like even in English, you don't know every word. But anyway, I wanted to get that out the way. So we're going to start going to the steps how to learn Spanish in a year. The first thing you should do, and like I said, I'm in college. I don't have a lot of money, so the things I'm going to tell you, they're on a budget. So I said this in my previous video. I'm gonna say it in this one. You have to get this book. You have to get Madrigal's Magic Key to Spanish. This book is literally the truth. You will learn Spanish like that. As soon as you open up the first page, you will start learning Spanish, and it is a very powerful book. You will start learning to speak Spanish by the 5th chapter. Another thing that I recommend you to do is there are problems. There are exercises in this book. So what I want you to do is to buy a notebook. So this notebook is a 3-subject notebook. It's about 150 pages, and I highly recommend you to get a notebook as well. So you can practice writing the sentences in this book into your notebooks, because the more and more you write, the more and more you will understand and memorize what you're learning. So yes, definitely get a notebook and Magic Key of Spanish. Also, there is an answer key in this book. The answer key is right next to the exercises. So cover up the answers, and see what you learn. And they use the problems are just like a test. Like they say everything in the lesson. The lessons are very short too, so you'll start learning really, really quick. So you'll start learning everything in the lessons, and at the end you'll be quizzed on that too. So another book you should get is the No Nonsense Spanish Workbook. These are the only 2 books I highly, highly, highly recommend, because in this book's No Nonsense Spanish, you will learn a lot here too. There's like a workbook, so you can actually write in the book, so you don't really have to write in a notebook. But I would definitely recommend writing the vocabulary you learn in the workbook and or your notes, or actually both, and that will actually help you learn vocabulary as well. There's a lot of vocabulary in both of these books, like a ton. So your Spanish vocabulary will improve drastically. But yeah, No Nonsense Spanish, I recommend that one too, because they have the 2 form, and the Magic Key Spanish, this book does not have the 2 form. It only has the usted form. So, and if you don't know what the 2 form is, the 2 form is the informal you. Usted is a formal you. So that's the difference on that. So you can buy this book on Amazon for $15. I'm gonna put the link in the description below. And I think this book is also like $15. So with these 2 books, books will cost you about $30, and so it's not a lot of money, like, at all. So I'm gonna put the description to the links on this, and then you can buy a 3-subject notebook, a 5-subject notebook at Walmart or something for like $5 or $10 or something like that. So yeah, so I definitely recommend these 2 books. The next resource that I have used is Preply, and I mentioned some of this in my previous video, but Preply is a website where you can find a tutor. You can find a native tutor anywhere in the world. And I have a tutor. I mentioned this before. She's from Dominican Republic, but you can find a teacher from Mexico, Colombia, Costa Rica, anywhere, Peru. The list goes on, and like I said, I'm on a budget, so you can find tutors for like the lowest at like maybe $3-4 to $30, $40, $60. But I recommend you to get a tutor. I actually don't recommend. You need to get a tutor if you want to learn Spanish, because the tutor will be able to teach you, and you can actually practice speaking and pronunciation. So you can either find a tutor on Preply or Italki. Italki, I didn't find out what Italki was until I already had my tutor in Preply. So Italki is like the same thing. You can find a tutor anywhere in the world, and you can practice with your tutor. So I'm about to put the descriptions to Preply and the description to Italki in the description below as well. The third resource that I use is websites. So these websites are very different. The first website I'm going to recommend you is Tandem. I definitely think you should get Tandem because you can find a language partner anywhere in the world, and you can practice your language. The more and more you practice, the better and better you'll become. And I learned this in the year that I've been learning Spanish. I downloaded Tandem a year ago. I found language partners and I text them. I talk to them on the phone, and this will help you understand the language and also use what you practice. Use what you practice from the books, and like say and text them or tell them what you learn in the book, so you can actually like know how to use what you're learning, how to utilize what you're learning in a real situation, which would be talking to a native person. That's why I recommend you to download the app Tandem. And Tandem is a free app, so it's not gonna cost you anything. So definitely get Tandem. Another website that I recommend for you is Meetup. So Meetup is very different because it depends where you're at. So like I said, I'm in Cleveland, so somebody created a Meetup where, you know, everybody who wants to learn Spanish, we meet up every Saturday, and we talk, we grab coffee, we talk in Spanish, and you get to meet people, and you get to meet, or you can practice your Spanish, I'm sorry. And this helps you build connections, build friendships as well, like in your city. And yeah, I definitely recommend you to get Meetup. Another website that nobody talks about is Conjuguemos, and I'm going to put all the links in the description below. Conjuguemos is a website where you can practice your Spanish. That website is amazing. You can learn verbs. You can learn how to use the direct, indirect, conditional, preterite, imperfect, tenses, future, subjective, indicative, all those tenses. And if you have a Spanish knowledge, you will understand everything I just said. But yeah, so I think that you should use Conjuguemos as well. So yes, Conjuguemos, Tandem, and Meetup are the websites that I think you should use to get that interaction with another person, and, you know, build connections. And then also with Tandem, you can learn about culture. You can learn about different foods. Like, you know, I learned a lot about Colombia, like, because I have Colombian friends now. Like, I never really knew a whole lot about Colombia, but now I know the cities. I know, like, that every city in Colombia, they are very different, and they are beautiful. And I really want to go to Colombia on my next trip. So yeah, so I definitely recommend all those apps. Okay, so the fourth resource that I think that helped me a lot, well, I don't think it helped me a lot, is Comprehension. So my favorite person to listen to is Simple Stories in Spanish. I'm about to put her Spotify in the link below, and her YouTube channel. She's very good. She tells you stories that happen in her life, her travels, how she got into learning Spanish, and everything like that. She's very good. Also, she gives you vocabulary at the beginning, so you can like learn the vocabulary before she says them in a story, so you actually know what that word means. Also, she has a website, so you can actually read what she says in Spanish, and it's an English translation as well. So I recommend Simple Stories in Spanish. Another recommendation is Netflix. So find a show on Netflix that you like, or watch an old movie that you watched as a kid. and rewatch it in Spanish, and that's how your comprehension is going to improve. So, I recommend you do that. La Casa de Papel is a very good one. It's a money heist, and so like they rob banks, and it's like that Spanish. So I think you should give that show a try too. It's very good. It's a lot of action if you like action. But go to Netflix. There's a wide variety of it's a Latin genre, so you can just pick a movie, series, documentary, and just put it in Spanish. Another recommendation I have, and I felt like I should have bought this book. It's called Short Stories in Spanish. And a lot of people recommend that book, and I should have bought it, but I used Audible to improve my comprehension. I thought I should have did both on that. So I actually should have 3 books. So I recommend you buy Short Stories in Spanish. I'll put the link in the description below. That's another book that's about $10 to $12. It's not that much money. So, yeah, you don't need a lot of books to learn Spanish. I think you probably need like 3 or 4 because there's already a ton of information in these books. And to use Tandem and the price of what you learn, it will make it all the better. So, music. I recommend music. I recommend you to, if you find a favorite song, I recommend you to write the lyrics in Spanish and in English in your notebook so you can see like this is the pattern that they're using. So definitely do that. I wrote a lot of songs. Like I listen to Bad Bunny, so I handwrite not every song, but like my favorite songs by him in Spanish and also in English. So that will help you a lot. Also, keep writing everything in a notebook because that's how you learn. That's how the information sticks to your brain. My 5th and final resource, YouTube. YouTube has taught me so much Spanish, and these teachers are great. They're phenomenal teachers. So I'm gonna give you 5 recommendations. 5 recommendations are Qroo Paul, Speak Spanish Faster, Mike Ben, The Language Tutor, and actually I'll give you 4. Those four YouTubers, you will learn a lot. You will learn a lot. And also another thing, in those lessons that they do, take a pen and in your notebook write down what you learned. Write down what you learned and write down what they're teaching. Some of their videos are kind of advanced. Some of them are simple. So if it's too advanced for you, try to find like a more simple video. But with those YouTubers, you would need a high beginner knowledge of Spanish to an intermediate. Even that can be difficult. So yeah. So those are the YouTubers I recommend, and use YouTube as your advantage, to your advantage, because maybe you'll find YouTubers that are better than the ones I gave you, but I don't really think there are. If you find one that's better, then definitely use those. But I'm just telling you how I learned Spanish, and doing everything I told you in this video. Month 7, I went to Dominican Republic. I'm talking to Dominican kids. I'm playing baseball with Dominican kids, and at this point, they can understand me. I can understand them. I was talking to this one Dominican kid. I was like, "What position do you play? What's your dreams and everything like that." And he told me his dreams. He told me his aspirations. He told me what he was into, and all that. And by month 7, I was having a good conversation. At this point, I was using the translator like a little bit. I used it just a little bit where I didn't understand. I'm like, yo, like, here's my phone, type in what you just said, and so I can understand it. So yeah, and he didn't speak any English. And when I went to Dominican Republic, that's when my Spanish got tested, because they all, like, a lot of people don't speak English there. So, and I had to use what I learned in 7 months to be able to speak Spanish efficiently. So yeah. So I really hope that you utilize all these resources I gave you. If you do, then you will be speaking Spanish speak Spanish good by month 1. So another thing I want to talk about is speaking. So a lot of people, they get terrified because they can't pronounce stuff right, and they're scared to speak. And my thing is this: when you learning another language, you revert back into a child. So for example, so when I was a kid, we have a store called Home Depot, and I used to call it Home Depot. So I learned as a child when I was like 3 or 4 years old, that's called Home Depot. So I can now pronounce it correctly. So when you're speaking, you want to be able to make mistakes, pronounce stuff incorrectly. When you're talking to your partner on Tandem, speak to them in Spanish, make the mistakes. They're native, so they can correct you if you want to be corrected. So I wanted to tell you guys that. Just don't be scared to make mistakes, because making mistakes is how you learn. It's how you become better. So yeah. So that wraps up today's video. Please like, share, and comment on my video, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.